I just got off the phone with one of our primary promotional partners, and he's at a really interesting place in his business. I mean, first off, he had a huge success to share, and that is that he's had his first seven-figure year. He did more than $1 million in gross revenue this year, which of course is awesome. And but at the same time, he's feeling like a frustration or undergoing a perturbation, I'll call it. And the reason for it, the cause for it, is that he understands that he's reached a limit of what he's able to accomplish. He's reached a limit of his impact in the world and what he's able to do with his business based on the foundation that he has in place, based on his systems, his organizational structure, his revenue model. Based on the things that he's created to date, he's reached a limit of what he's able to do with that, which is understandably frustrating. So this gentleman, he was at a mastermind recently that was being run by myself and my business partner, Callan Rush. And it turns out that I shared something there that seems like it's had quite an impact on him. And I don't remember the words that I said, but the idea was that it's typically a simple or somewhat simple proposition to take something that's good and make it better. That turns out in most cases that's not a very difficult thing to do. However, it's a different story altogether to take something that's good and make it optimal. To take something that's working and make it the exact thing that you want, or to have it be everything that you feel and believe that it can be. So if you, in your business, as it turns out, if you want to create this idea, whatever your utopian vision of your business and your impact and what you're looking to create, it turns out that it becomes perhaps infinitely more likely and easier to accomplish when you're willing to let go of the things that are good. The idea of taking something that's good or letting go of what is good to achieve that which is optimal, to put it in, I don't know, fancy sounding words. So I'll give you an example. This particular gentleman, I was recommending to him, or I have been recommending to him for a while now, to shorten up his launch sequence. So this guy, he does a couple of launches a year, and they tend to go on for quite a long time, like close to a month each. And so he does these 2 launches a year, and that's pretty well his revenue model. So I've recommended to him, I said, well, listen, if you take that launch sequence and shorten it up significantly, like in half, it might be counterintuitive, but you're going to end up converting a lot more sales. You put a lot more urgency, and you can be, with a little more of an intelligent design, your launches can be a lot more effective. So now, okay, that's very intellectual and maybe correct in theory, as I believe it is, but that's a very difficult proposition for him, or I suspect it is, because that's extremely risky. He's going to take something that is working and completely modify it. Extremely risky. I'm asking of him to let go of the very thing that's working in his business. When I mean it's working, it's the very thing that's created exactly what he has. So understandably, that's a risky proposition. Basically, I'm asking him to be willing to scrap everything and start from scratch. Now, so why would I do that? What does that do? Well, when you're willing to let go of everything that you've done to date, or whatever the status quo is, that's the only thing that will actually allow you to be completely free, creatively speaking, and have the mental and emotional capacity to actually design what it is that you actually want, or what it is that you feel will be ideal, or the idea of, let's say it's a launch sequence in this case. If this gentleman wants to create everything that he thinks is possible in a launch sequence, he needs to be willing to completely scrap everything that he's created to this point. That will allow that freedom. Now, of course, once he has that freedom and actually designs the ideal launch sequence, it may turn out that he doesn't have to scrap all that much. Maybe it's just some subtle shifts, or maybe not. Maybe it is a completely new thing, but it's that willingness that makes the difference that will allow him to create that. And I've found that when you're attached to the things that you've already created or to the things that are already working, that attachment is actually a compromise. So if one thing that I would hope that you take from this, or what inspired me to create this video, is the idea that attachment equals compromise. And anyway, this conversation, it inspired me to produce some videos. This obviously is the first of those. But moving forward, I believe that with the trajectory that Callan and I have had in our business, going from scratch, like all of us do, to doing over $5 million a year in revenue in a seemingly short amount of time. I say seemingly because in the marketplace, people seem to think that we did it overnight, which of course is ridiculous and entirely untrue. However, in a reasonably short amount of time, and looking back on it, there's been a lot of these transitions where we were able to completely modify the way it is that we do business fundamentally, whether or not it was a way we organized our team or the way that we design specific programs or launch sequences or whatever. But every time it was time for us to to take things to another level, so to speak, we went into that willing to change everything, willing to wipe the slate clean, willing to let go of every team member, willing to completely redo our programs, willing to completely let go of all of the promotional material we had created to date. And in that willingness to let it go allowed us to the freedom to create exactly what was going to work and to get us what we wanted moving forward. So anyhow, you're likely seeing this either on Facebook or on a blog or something like that. I would love it if you would leave a comment wherever it is appropriate on the page, probably below somewhere. I'd love to hear from you. If you're aware of any attachments, or where do you have attachments currently that are showing up as a compromise in your business? Where are you attached to things of the way that you're doing them now that are preventing you from getting the end game or the end result that you want? I'd love to hear from you and have a little conversation. Of course, please like this and share it as you see fit. And I look forward to sharing more on some future videos.